Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this idea people have of creating the new utopia, the new progressive utopia, and the reason why they want to do away with your self-esteem, your own personal sovereignty, and the reason why they want to blur and phase out your personal gender identity, the true personal identity involving your gender. I mean, it's called your biological gender, that thing that you're going to be forbidden to be proud of. And matter of fact, in the new progressive utopia that they want, you have to deny and denounce it. Any bringing up of your biological gender will be considered a hate crime. It hurts other people's feelings because they want to create a new form of inclusiveness and equality. And a list of things that are going to be made obsolete. It's going to be state mandated them to be obsolete for a greater good. It'll be state mandated. No weightlifting, knuckle push-ups, physical training of any kind, because that's considered violent. Because after all, you do that and walk around with a cocky look on your face. They don't want anybody walking around with a cocky look on their face and being no tough guy. That's considered violent. The idea of maybe lifting weights, doing some kind of physical training, that on top of walking around with a cocky look on your face and you're acting like being too cocky, acting like a tough guy, that ain't no good. That's considered violent. Whether you commit any acts of violence with it or not, the fact that anything that builds your self-esteem and enables you to walk around with your head high and any kind of cocky look on their face, because that encourages, because God forbid you do anything to build your own personal sovereignty and self-esteem by strengthening yourself, and you get too cocky and too big for your britches and ignore their authority. They want you to be what some people call emasculated, slightly dehumanized. Any personal strength or self-esteem hurts other people's feelings. They believe you can't have equality without bringing everybody down to the same level. They wouldn't want anybody brought up to the same level, because you can't have that, because it makes it harder for the enforcing class to enforce their laws they make. You know what I mean? Alright, here's how it is. All these people on the far left and the transgender lovers and allies, or whatever the fuck, are always attacking the conservatives because of their American flags and because they got guns and they lift weights, and everybody says, oh, those conservatives, how dangerous and phobic they are. But there's another type of conservative that's not talked about nowhere near as viciously as like the MAGA hat, American flag people, gun owning, weightlifting conservatives. People forget all about these other group of conservatives out there that don't get talked about nearly as viciously anymore by the left. You know why? Because they've already been infiltrated. And I want to tell you why these type of conservatives, what they have in common with why they're so susceptible to being infiltrated, and what they have in common with the leftist side of the track that has the feminists, the transgender types, and the people that want you to eat soy and don't want you to eat meat, right? But these other type of conservatives I'm talking about, the ones that Alex Jones and the Fullerton Informer has made comments about when I saw some of their stuff with the emasculated, castrated men in their congregation, which the women run things, and why the women run things and have the men by the ear and wrapped around their finger is pretty much because the women in these groups are women who wear a conservative's mask, but they were feminists who wear a conservative wear the mask of a conservative. They wear a conservative's mask, and they've been known to joke about how they have their men trained and everything. And and unlike the ones, they want you to eat soy and not eat meat, right? These people, these conservatives, coincidentally, they teach their people to do a lot of fasting. And remember when the earlier days of YouTube talked against the religious cults? Some of the YouTube grifting atheists did have one thing right about religious cults, how they want you to eat low protein food, do a lot of fasting, whether they're cults that are illegitimate Jesus cults that spring up all over the place, or even your church congregations, guys emasculated, skinny little arms, and short sleeve nerd shirts that their women got by the ear to run things, do a lot of fasting, get it, depriving the body of protein, and no lifting weights or doing anything like that promotes self-esteem, because you can be not of God, demonic, or violent, or whatever. You got those separate from the gun-toting American flags that are already accused of all that violence. But then these other ones, well, geez, do a lot of fasting. Then the ones on the left eat a lot of soy, don't eat any meat, don't lift no weights, don't do anything to physically better yourself, start wearing dresses, right? And those have already started gradually infiltrating the church and getting more tolerant, and even putting rainbow flags up and all that happy horse shit. And then you notice a little bit of other things too, like okay, the one side, trying to get men to wear dresses and then wear makeup and denounce and deny their biological gender. And then you got these other conservatives, like I told you, the women run things. They got their men wearing dorky short sleeve nerd shirts, right, that happen to be colors like pink and baby blue, and they're not walking like men, they're walking all like, even, and these were conservatives that supposedly, back in the day, they didn't like anybody that was gay or anything, but yet, if you ever knew people that go to some of these churches, certain ones, I'm not saying that they were all bad or anything, that you notice, though, too, even though they supposedly didn't like gay people, they accepted a form of emasculation, like wearing pink, baby blue, guys preferring to have skinny arms and dorky colored, like short sleeve nerd shirts, and doing a lot of fasting, going on fasts, and usually fasting for a long time. Those types, unlike the conservatives, the gun-toting, weightlifting, American flag brandishing, MAGA hat wearing, people that believed in strength, you know what I mean? I'm jumping cultures here you get one side that's, into more guns, more weightlifting and American flags, and you get these other conservatives, you following me, no kind of strength. Strength being discouraged, self-esteem being conservative, the women always in control, nothing against women per se, and doing a lot of fasting, unlike, the other ones I mentioned, American flags, strength and all that shit. I don't want to repeat myself. And then you see how gradually now these ones over here, compared to these ones over here are kind of close enough to these ones over here that these ones over here are infiltrating these ones over here, and they know it. They're more susceptible to it because a lot of them already, the women, were conservatives wearing conservatives' masks. Feminists wearing the mask of a conservative, pretending to be conservative, wearing the conservative's mask, but are actually feminists, showing it in everything I said. There was even when my mother had, what I used to associate more with my mother, one particular female comedian, even though she's just a comedian, you saying, oh, don't take it seriously, she even had a joke. Like she was joking. That's how they do it, like they're joking. And she said in one of her Christian comedian things, down on being actually literally like she's joking, because under the guise of being a comedian, right, making fun of certain men and saying, as a threat, made it under the disguise of a joke, saying, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's a lot of other stuff that you can get into anyway, but I'm just, painstakingly critiquing 3 classes, and the whole point of what I was saying here is that people are saying, oh, you just got the MAGA hat wearing, American flag brandishing, weightlifting, gun-toting conservative there, and the opposite left, in the transgender and all that. No, you don't. You got another type of conservative that's right here that's got itself susceptible to being infiltrated by some really toxic versions of feminism, and like I said, how they pretty much castrated the men, so to speak. And yeah, they don't want you doing anything to build strength and self-esteem or any sense of cockiness, because then you will not fear their enforcing class. The ones that want to start off by shaming you out of the ones that are trying to build the new enforcing class, they want to start by taking the next generation and shaming them for any sense of self-esteem, doing anything to physically better yourself. Because after all, even if you don't physically get in any kind of tussle or fight back with anybody, even without that, any like snubbing them and walking away, without any physical tussle, they consider that violent. With physical tussles of any kind put aside, or any physical aggression put aside, they indicate you don't even have to have that. They don't want that either, but in their eyes, you don't even have to have that. You don't even have to have that to be considered violent as far as you're concerned, as far as they're concerned. You don't even have to be the traditional. You need not even be the traditional definition for violence. After all, their definition of violence is altered and added to now, without any kind of physical pushback or tussle of any kind. Walking by with a cocky look on your face, walking away from somebody, walking down the street with too cocky of a look on your face, you know what I mean? And especially going to the store and buying and eating meat and things like that. You don't want any of that shit. I mean, soy and fast food and whatever crap you're told to eat or whatever, and eat as little as possible. I mean, it's a complete shift from the older days of the conservatives, where you were encouraged to be religious and always go on fasts, dress like a nerd, go around with skinny arms, or while your preachers on the podiums had fat bellies, fancy suits, and fancy airplanes, and even the ones that weren't on TV, they had nice fancy cars and fancy suits and pot bellies, and all the men in the congregation, in a sense, were emasculated, and their women ran the show, which a lot of them, even though diehard feminists and conservatives are viciously fighting against each other, people will look at you like you're nuts when you had feminists in the churches wearing conservatives, wearing the conservative mask. They'd wear a mask of a conservative, but you had a shitload. That's why Joe Imbriano of the Fullerton Informer, and even Alex Jones and people talked about the emasculated men in the congregation. And then you had people like Pat Condell, that were the biggest YouTube atheists, talking about how the progressive wears the conservatives mask, or whatever they are. Or there was a blur between the difference between a liberal and a progressive. Well, excuse me, Pat Condell would say, he said in one video, a liberal wearing a progressive mask. But my only thing, you can have that in reverse too. One wears the mask of the other. Is that I like Pat Condell's philosophy on some things, but how the fuck can you say a progressive is any better than a liberal? I mean, he was indicating some liberals were a little bit better in some ways. I don't fucking know, but anyway, yeah, you in your churches now, if you want to talk about the conservatives, this sounds like off the subject, but you also had the liberals wearing conservatives masks right in there, and then you had the blurred definition of neocons in there, or in the churches wearing a conservative mask. And then now you got a whole religion now separate from the conservatives, to calling themselves a sparkle creed, and Jesus is what do you call it, biracial and non-binary, or whatever the fuck now. But yeah, I'm just saying that sounds a little off the subject, but it's relevant. I mean, you had I was creating a relevance by saying you had the emasculated male congregation. That was literally some of the women that were feminists wearing conservative masks, really had control of the men, and then you still had the pot-bellied preacher with raspy voice that, ran the show, a little bit more complicated shit. But now, aside from that, we're shifting to a new religion to replace some of these conservatives, with all the emasculated, castrated men. They want to replace that, or allow some of them to just... They tolerate some of them conservatives because they're easing into this other bullshit. That's why I'm bringing them up. Because even though they act like they don't like some of these conservatives, you notice a certain amount of them that I was just talking about, they'll tolerate them to the point, even though they act like they hate them, because they like them if they can be eased into this new normal now. And pretty soon they'll be gradually made obsolete, you know what I mean, and then replaced by this new utopia. Basically puts all the men in dresses, skinny arms, make them wear makeup. Then also comes, while you're at it, anybody that won't comply, a state mandatory state mandated program where you'll be medicated, because after all, I mean, if you do anything like strengthen yourself any kind of way it's violent, you need to take your meds. So any any of the teaching of self-esteem the way we see it, walking around with cocky looks on our face, doing weightlifting, knuckle push-ups, any other kind of training, putting aside the right to bear arms, rifles and things like that. Oh, any kind of bullshit like walking around, with any muscle development or cocky look on your face, they'll consider that. They're already considering that unmedicated mental illness. Yep, that's what they're doing now. It's not just you get trolls on YouTube and the internet saying that now, but you realize in the entire YouTube videos, there got people preaching that shit right now for real. That physical fitness and self-esteem is considered violent, even if you don't get into any kind of fight or violent tussle. It's considered violent, potentially violent, terrorist, and they label it already. They want to have it declared. They want to have it officially declared a unmedicated mental illness. Well, you already got like that transgender bitch Levine as head of the health department. You don't see them on TV anymore like when they used to be head of the state health department in Pennsylvania, when Governor Wolf in his smugness put them there. They were all over TV during the pandemic, right? But then when that like idiot Joe Biden, that that fucking senile old bastard Joe Biden put Levine as head of the health department in the U.S. government, you don't see him on TV no more. You see him in a couple YouTube videos, like that one I seen when Levine was debating Rand Paul. Rand Paul was calling Levine on some bullshit that he, according to Rand Paul, the World Health Organization still deems body mutilations like sex changes in minors. They supposedly, according to Rand Paul, regards that as a very bad thing, even though there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people on the far right don't like the World Health Organization. Matter of fact, when Trump was president and he got us out of the membership of that, I was happy about it. I was like, fuck them. But people say that World Health Organization is starting to change their rules or whatever the hell. But anyway, Rand Paul was saying that that the World Health Organization was against a lot of what they regarded as body mutilations, and Rand Paul made that argument to Levine about asking Levine, do you condone or questions about gender changes in minors, and Levine refused to answer, smugly changing the subject and refusing to answer, and saying, well, I got the video clip. I could actually show you in here somewhere in the video and just give you a little glimpse of the clip. Yeah, it's a video clip that's been scrubbed from YouTube countless times, but people still have copies of it circulating all over the place. They don't want you to see. But I don't know why they bother to scrub that shit off the internet when a lot of people on the far left are fucking admitting it. Why the fuck scrub something off the internet and forbid you to talk about it, while at the same time they're damn admitting it and expecting you to comply with it and saying that this is what we're going to do and you're going to comply with it. Makes a lot of damn sense. The only reason they would scrub it from the internet and refuse and forbid you to talk about it is because they want all the laws put in place yet, And that's why they scrub it from the internet. You know, if people are talking about it and allowing certain videos to be on the internet that way before they put the laws in place. You know, they don't want you talking about it until they want the laws to be put in place, and they don't want nothing on the internet that anybody that can believe or challenge their bullshit, right? Because if it's allowed to be seen on the internet, I think it's still dependent on a lot of people sleeping and not knowing about it. Even though they're admitting it, they don't have everything in place yet, and they're still a little bit afraid that if it's being if the truth's being told, that people might start protesting, and more people will be lobbying real hard or protesting real hard, you know, writing to their politicians or whatever, saying we don't fucking want this or whatever, you know what I mean?